Okay, let's shift gears. Markets at an all-time high. Mazumdar-Shaw, Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon, joins us from Bangalore. Ms. Shaw, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Let me kickstart the discussion with something which seems to be a big industry-specific problem. The US FDA clamped down. How come US FDA suddenly has become so stringent against the Indian pharma industry?
Well, I think India is such an important, vendor or supplier of generic drugs to the US that I think the US has basically started paying a lot more attention to regulating the Indian pharma sector than they used to do in the past. So I think what you're seeing today is really about a greater number of inspections, which also leads to then more kind of cases of non-compliance. But I don't think you should really read into this in such a sort of negative way, because I think the Indian pharma sector is a very integral and irreplaceable part of the pharma sector and its needs in the US. So I think we must understand that this should be taken as an opportunity for Indian companies to really, create a very, very robust, high-quality pharma sector for India and then keep on strengthening its position in the global pharma space.
Ms. Shaw, hi, morning. Is there any current pending Form 483 against Biocon, and has the FDA inspected any of Biocon's facilities in the near term?
Well, we have been inspected several times by US FDA, and I'm pleased to say we do not have any 483 against us.
What's the update on your Malaysia facility currently? How many products will be fired from there in the near term, and what kind of growth can this facility bring on the table for you guys?
Well, the Malaysia facility is something that we really are wanting to operationalize as soon as possible, because as you know, this year we have been constrained in terms of capacity. Our markets are growing. Insulin as a market is a huge opportunity for us globally, and we are kind of maxed out in terms of capacity at this point in time. So obviously we are, waiting to operationalize the Malaysian facility as soon as we can, so that we can cater and address these very, very large opportunities. The Malaysian facility will actually come fully on board only at the end of 2015. So we still have to be patient for another year yet.
Is there a conscious thinking within Biocon that you want to shift manufacturing facility outside India, or you are pretty confident of expanding your manufacturing capacity and facilities in India?
Well, India, there are huge issues of expansion. One is, of course, in the sort of Bangalore region, we are challenged by power, by water, and therefore I think we need to address how we will expand in India, but we continue to expand in India. So there are many operations that can be expanded in India. But when you look at what we've done in Malaysia, it was very deliberately and intentionally done, because I think the insulin expansion was very, very dependent on good quality potable water and abundant potable water, which we could not be guaranteed where we are. So I think that is something which Malaysia guarantees to us. Plus Malaysia has a very good support system in terms of infrastructure. The environmental laws in India are not very favorable. I think we need to look at a number of these laws that are actually preventing companies from operationalizing in a short period of time. I think we have to focus on the ease of doing business in India, which is ridiculous. It takes too long to do anything in India. We have to move from a rule, to a rule-based regulatory system rather than an approval-based regulatory system. This is the bane of our economy.
So as percentage of your total sales, how much is coming from non-India facilities, and do you see that percentage going up significantly next 3 years? What I'm trying to gather from you is that is there a conscious strategy where you're working on to move your production outside India?
No, I think right now we are fully dependent on our India facilities, and they will continue to be a very significant part of our business going forward. But surely I think Malaysia will, contribute significantly to our business once it is operationalized.
Shaw, the third quarter was slightly disappointing for Biocon, especially because of the slowdown that we saw in the biopharma segment. What is it that the company is doing to ramp up sales from this vertical?
You see, basically what is happening is that our biopharma business, which at this point in time is largely dependent on the statins and immunosuppressants business, is actually, is constrained in terms of capacity, and because it's largely an API business, it is also commoditizing, quite rapidly. So from that point of view, I think we have to move up the value chain, and that is why we are focusing now on finished formulations, and we are developing ANDAs to actually vertically integrate our business forward. So I think all this will definitely help us to grow our business significantly and in a sustainable way. But having said that, I think we have some very, very good opportunities in the biosimilar space, in the insulin space, and in the novel program space. And of course, our research services business is also doing exceedingly well. So I think from an overall perspective, I think we will continue to drive growth, though I think the real growth will only be possible when we have big capacity expansion in some of our key areas.
And when will that kick in according to you?
That's why I said, I think next fiscal is when we expect all this to kick in. But this coming fiscal again is something that is going to challenge us, because we have huge R&D spends as we move our programs, into the clinic, and we also have capacity constraints. So, the year ahead is certainly going to be a challenging year for us, and we are trying to do everything possible to, see how we address growth in terms of expectations.
Ms. Shaw, analysts believe that the next big trigger for Biocon will be out-licensing of the drug Alzumab for regulated markets. Could you share with us what's the timeline for this happening?
Well, there is a lot of interest. I think we are, getting very deeply engaged in discussions and due diligences. And I think, the next fiscal should certainly see some activity in this area.
Insulin, what's happening to that business? Markets are mighty excited with the way your insulin business has moved.
Yes, I told you, I think the insulin business is really a big opportunity for Biocon. I think Biocon sees itself as a huge insulin player globally. We can already see that a lot of the big players are trying to vacate the recombinant human insulin space in favor of analogs. And I think that's a space where Biocon can really very quickly fill that kind of vacated space. So that's one big opportunity. Then the analogs that we are developing with Mylan is another big opportunity for us. I think, Glargine is the most advanced of those analogs. And I think, this whole insulin portfolio is going to be a very, very big opportunity for Biocon going forward.
Final question, Ms. Shaw, for someone who tracks your company with a magnifying glass, is always bothered about your quarterly growth. One differentiating number always for Biocon has been your total R&D spend as percentage of your sales. You are committed not to reduce that. Can you throw more light on that?
Well, R&D is so integral to our business that unless we invest in R&D, we cannot really show the gestational growth that we keep showing every few years, because you have steady growth for a certain time and then suddenly you have a spike in growth because a new program comes on stream, and that's what's going to happen in terms of our pipeline. Now, I think what we need to understand is that, these R&D spends increase exponentially as they advance in the clinic. So I think this is something that should be indicative of the progress being made by the company. R&D will continue to be an area where we will have to continue to invest. and it basically is an investment. It's not a spend as such.
Ms. Shaw, really appreciate you taking the time out and joining with us today on ET Now, and hope to chat with you more often. Good to have you on the show.